Hello, Chelsea fans. Welcome back to the Blues Report, and remember to subscribe, then enjoy your news. Let's dive in. Forging steel at Cobham. Chelsea train. Ahead of Leverkusen as Jorrel Hato joins the fold. August 6, 2025. Cobham Training Ground, Surrey. The first light of morning bled gently over the skyline as Cobham stirred to life. The lush, impeccably trimmed training pitches gleamed under a silvery hue, and the early morning mist curled like smoke above the grass. In just 4 days, Chelsea would take on Bayer Leverkusen in a high-stakes pre-season match at Stamford Bridge, a fixture that promised not only competition, but a litmus test of tactical cohesion and squad readiness. But today, the buzz at Cobham wasn't only about Leverkusen. It was about the arrival of a new blue. Jorrel Hato, the highly rated 19-year-old Dutch centre-back, had officially completed his transfer from Ajax just 48 hours earlier. Hailed as one of Europe's most intelligent young defenders, Hato's signing had been met with elation by the Chelsea faithful. His versatility, calmness on the ball, and leadership in high-pressure moments made him a prime target in manager Marcelo de Vries's rebuilding blueprint. This would be Hato's first training session in blue. And though the morning sun had only just begun to stretch across the pitch, anticipation was already high among players and coaches alike. A quiet arrival, a bold presence. At 6:45 a.m., well before the majority of the squad arrived, Hato entered the facility in understated fashion. Dressed in Chelsea training gear, his demeanor was focused but respectful, eyes scanning the facilities, absorbing the environment. He was greeted by club captain Reece James, who gave him a firm handshake and a brief tour of the dressing room and recovery areas. "He's quiet," said assistant coach Cesar Azpilicueta to Marcelo, watching from afar. "But you can tell he's a sponge." Marcelo nodded. "Perfect. We need sponges more than we need superstars." Hato introduced himself to his new teammates one by one, receiving warm welcomes from Enzo Fernandez, Moisés Caicedo, Levi Colwill, and Christopher Nkunku. The language of football, it seemed, needed few words. By 7:30 a.m., the rest of the squad had assembled in the locker room. The atmosphere was light but charged. The match against Leverkusen had been positioned as a dress rehearsal for the Premier League opener. Performances this week could determine starting spots. Stretching, screening, and the first fitness test. The squad began the day with biomechanical screenings and dynamic warm-ups on the grass. Pedro Lima, the head fitness coach, ran the players through a sequence of lateral movements, acceleration drills, and mobility routines. It wasn't just about stretching muscles, it was about activating focus. Jorrel Hato immediately stood out. He moved with the fluidity of a midfielder despite his defensive frame. Every movement was sharp but measured. He matched sprint speeds with Colwill and outpaced several teammates in lateral drills. 6 seconds flat over 40 meters, muttered one analyst, noting Hato's sprint time on the iPad. Levi Colwill leaned over and nudged Hato. "Not bad for your first day," he joked. Hato grinned. "I had to make sure I could catch up with Sterling." The squad chuckled. The ice was broken. Tactical drills. Marcelo's blueprint in motion. By 9:00 a.m., the team huddled around Marcelo near the central pitch. A large tactics board displayed the day's theme: defensive compactness and high transition. "Leverkusen presses aggressively," Marcelo explained. "But they leave space when they transition. We're going to train how to exploit it, by moving as a unit, vertically and horizontally. No lone wolves, no ball chasers." The group split into 3 smaller units. 1, defensive shape and line management, led by Azpilicueta, focused on Hato, Colwill, Reece James, and Junichi Hayashi. 2, midfield press and triggers. Caicedo, Enzo, Gallagher, and Bianchi worked on timing interceptions. 3, attacking on the break. Sterling, Nkunku, Grimsby and Diallo practiced quick switches and overlapping plays. Hato was paired alongside Colwill in the back line for the first time. The chemistry between the two was striking. Colwill was more vocal, calling out cover shifts and line movement, while Hato quietly anticipated angles, consistently reading play 2 steps ahead. His passing range was especially eye-catching. Sharp ground balls through tight lanes and long diagonal switches that found wing-backs with surgical precision. "Step! Step!" Azpilicueta shouted. "Hold your line!" Hato adjusted in sync. 1 interception, 1 clean tackle, 1 expertly timed slide to block a through ball. Marcelo scribbled notes silently, a rare smirk forming. Controlled chaos. 6v6 transition games. After hydration and protein recovery, the players returned to pitch 2 for the transition drill, dubbed Controlled Chaos by the staff. 2 mini-pitches were laid out, each hosting 6v6 matches in which a turnover meant immediate counter-attack in the opposite direction. Here, Jorrel Hato was tested. With Chelsea's front men rotating rapidly and pressing high, Hato had to manage both his own positioning and coordinate cover behind an aggressive midfield. His most crucial moment came when Diallo picked Caicedo's pocket and charged forward. Hato calmly backpedaled, forced Diallo wide, then lunged precisely, clearing the danger. "Calm as ice," murmured Nkunku. Later, Hato initiated a counter by playing a one-touch outlet ball to Gallagher, who spun and played Sterling through on goal. Goal! 1-2. "Good decision-making," Marcelo yelled. "Jorrel, you're earning your spot today." The match simulation. Eyes on the prize. The session culminated in a full-pitch, 60-minute match simulation, Chelsea Blue versus Chelsea White. Marcelo wanted to test his potential Eintracht for Leverkusen. Team Blue, Petrovic, James, Hato, Colwill, Cucurella, Enzo, Caicedo, Sterling, Nkunku, Diallo, Grimsby. Team White, Slonina, Hayashi, Schaefer, Disasi, Hall, Ugochukwu, Gallagher, Bianchi, Madueke, Hutchinson, Broja. From the first whistle, the pace was ferocious. Hato commanded the back line with quiet authority. His positioning minimized space for Broja, and his communication with Colwill formed a solid axis. But it wasn't just his defending. He was building play. On multiple occasions, he stepped out of the line, carried the ball into midfield, and triggered switches. Midway through the game, Sterling scored from a Nkunku assist to make it 1-0 to Team Blue. Then, in the 43rd minute, Gallagher leveled for Team White with a long-range thunderbolt. The match ended in a 1-1 draw, but Marcelo had seen what he needed. The players gathered at midfield, exhausted but energized. Marcelo addressed them directly. "That's the level I want. Together, brave, disciplined. Jorrel, fantastic start. This team has new life." Applause followed, not just for Hato, but for the intensity of the entire session. The recovery and reflection. Back in the dressing room, players iced their legs, rehydrated, and gathered around tablets for film reviews. Hato sat beside Colwill, watching clips of their pairing from earlier. "You see that one?" Colwill pointed. "We held the line perfectly here. That's what I've been missing." "You're the anchor," Hato replied. "I just need to read you." Down the corridor, Marcelo de Vries sat in his office reviewing the internal match with his analysts. "That's the spine," he said, pointing to the screen. "Hato, Colwill, Enzo and Caicedo. We build from there." Evening. Stamford beckons. As the sun dipped over Cobham, Hato stepped out onto pitch 1 again, alone. He jogged laps, earphones in, lost in rhythm. A groundskeeper watched from a distance and smiled. Another young lion was finding his feet in London. The upcoming fixture against Bayer Leverkusen would test this new Chelsea team. It would test Hato's maturity, Marcelo's philosophy, and the chemistry of a squad in transformation. But today had proven one thing beyond doubt. Chelsea was no longer waiting to rebuild. It had begun.